Elon Musk and DOGE are making quick work of intensifying wasteful, woke government spending, but saving your taxpayer dollars has sent Democrats into a complete spiral, actually entertaining at times. As usual, they appear hell-bent on doing nothing but fighting President Trump every step of the way. Everything he does, they feign, moral outrage, and this is a constitutional crisis. Last night, Senate Democrats spoke on the floor throughout the entire night, wasting their time protesting Donald Trump's pick to lead the Office of Management and Budget. His name is Russell Vought. And Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, well, he brought back the left's campaign talking point, declaring in a post on X that democracy is on the line. Constitutional crisis, he was screaming the other day. Now, of course, their efforts were to no avail, as Russell Vought was in fact confirmed earlier this evening and is set to be sworn in tomorrow. Here with reaction, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan and the former White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. There's only really one way to put this, is the band is back together. The founders of the Freedom Caucus back together. This is a great moment.
It's good to be with you.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
Do I start with the chief or do I start with the head of the Judiciary Committee? It's kind of hard to tell.
Head of the Judiciary.
Chief, I'm going to start with you. Welcome back. It's been a while since we've had you.
Right.
It's very predictable. I think Elon Musk what he has done is a great service to this country. The average American makes $66 grand a year. I don't know what the average North Carolinian makes where you live. 66 grand a year is not a lot. Those people pay a lot in taxes. Same with the people in Ohio and the same with people all around the country.
Yep.
And when you see hundreds of billions of dollars, and this is the tip of the iceberg, that are being wasted. And Joe Biden, we now know, wasted over $236 billion last year that we know of. I mean, why would people be angry at that? And this is not money going to America, but it's going around the world?
Well, they should be angry, Russ. Russ Vought is going to be able to help. You mentioned him getting confirmed. But listen, the only thing that's faster than an Elon Musk Tesla is Donald Trump and his team making sure that the American people are back in control. And what we're seeing here is that Donald Trump has instilled hope in America and fear in Washington, D.C. Wouldn't it have been better if those billions of dollars had been sent to Western North Carolina to actually rebuild instead of some DEI woke kind of trans deal in Ireland or across the country in Africa? It is just unbelievable what we've seen. But yet what we are seeing right now is President Trump putting his foot on the gas and going from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
It's a great way to put it. I think Elon Musk, first of all, his personal accomplishments have benefited every human being on this earth. That's number one. Yep. He's going to rescue our astronauts. He helped the people in North Carolina, the people in Tennessee, the people in California, and he did it for free. And this is the thanks that this guy gets for transforming American communications, American automobiles, American space travel, and now he's trying to transform American government so we save taxpayers' money and we can live within our means. Right. And this is how he gets treated, Jim.
Yeah. What's going on here is when you spend money on stupid things, you attack the guy who exposes it. That's exactly what Democrats are doing. The proponents of big government, the recipients of big government spending, they just as soon keep all that secret. But Elon Musk comes along and says, this is ridiculous. As Mark put it out, some trans opera in Ireland, they're funding Sesame Street shows in Iraq. I mean, think about it. China's building bridges and roads in certain countries, and we're putting Big Bird and Bert and Ernie on TV in Baghdad. Who do you think is going to have more influence? So what Elon Musk is saying, this is stupid. Let's stop it. Let's focus on serving the American people, not having these agencies do what they want. Here's another thing, Sean. 10,000 people work at USAID. 1,000 of those 10,000, over 10% of those individuals, 1 month after Hamas attacks our best friend, the state of Israel, 1 month later, those 1,000 people did an open letter calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Are you kidding me? So, of course, we need to scale this agency back and get rid of some of those people who have that attitude and are saying those kind of things about our dear friend and ally, the state of Israel.
You know, Mark Meadows, I really pride myself in doing a lot of research. And we spend a lot of time looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. I know Senator Joni Ernst had requested this information repeatedly, and they use obscure names to really hide where the money goes and what the money went for. When I grew up in New York, and thank God I don't live there anymore, we used to call that fraud. What do you call it?
Well, I call it fraud, and that's even a nice name for it when you look at it, Sean. And you did do the research, and yet what we saw was the DOGE team goes in. They're actually looking through the checkbook and say, where is the money going? And you said it in your monologue. This is the tip of the iceberg. Wait until they start looking at all the grants that are coming out of HHS and the Education Department. I mean, it will blow the American people's minds. And why are we getting the big pushback from Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren? They're afraid that the American people will finally start to see behind the curtain. And we can thank Donald Trump for that, because no one else would have had the courage to make sure that that happened. And thank Elon Musk for actually staying the course. And when everybody is out to basically demonize him, know that indeed it's an attack on the American people and an attack on this president.
You know, Jim Jordan, if they want to die Democrats on this hill, and that is, you know, all this, the billions and tens of billions and hundreds of billions of dollars in money going to other countries for their woke agenda, and they think that's going to be helpful politically. If they want to die on the hill of sanctuary cities and states and defend the terrorists, the murderers, rapists, cartels, and gangs, I'm perfectly fine with their stupidity. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to do that, you know, God bless them. I think it's wrong. I think that's why they lost on November 5th. I think it's why 77 million people voted for President Trump. And frankly, I think the American people like the intensity and the speed and the focused energy we have seen from President Trump and his team. And they like, I think, what Elon Musk is showing them. And by the way, but for Elon Musk stepping forward and purchasing Twitter, I mean, I think he had a great line. He said, I didn't spend, I think it was 40-some billion. I didn't spend $44 billion to buy Twitter. I spent $44 billion to save the First Amendment. And that's when we first started our look at the censorship industrial complex, big government telling big tech to censor Americans. I don't know that we uncover all that, but for him taking that first step. And now he's going in, digging into government and showing us all the ridiculous things. They spend the hard-earned tax dollars of the families of the 4th District of Ohio, the people I get the privilege of representing. I know the people back home are pleased with the effort of President Trump and Elon Musk and what he's uncovering.
Yeah, I agree. We're all better for it. And you know what? I guess if they weren't critical of him, he wouldn't be doing such a great job. But they better buckle up, because I predict this is only the beginning. They will be exposed even further, and it will shock the soul of this country. And they have a lot of explaining to do. The dynamic duo is back. Mark Meadows, Congressman Jim Jordan. Good to see you both.